Imagine having two fathers. The first one tells you your whole life, study hard, get a safe job, and work until you retire. But the second one tells you something completely different. He says, don't work for money, make money work for you. The strange thing is, both men were successful, but one of them died in debt, while the other died leaving millions of dollars to his family. Whose advice would you follow? In this series, we are going to explore one of the most famous books, a book that changed the way millions of people think about money. It changes the way you see money itself, because most of the time the problem is not how much money you have. The real problem is how you think about money. The writer Robert Kiyosaki begins his book with a simple idea but a very powerful. He says, wealth is a mindset and poverty is also a mindset. In other words, you might find someone who has millions of dollars but is something with a poor mindset, and one day he could lose everything. On the other hand, you might find someone who has very little money but think like rich, and over time he could become a millionaire. Robert Kiyosaki explains that when he was young, he had two fathers, a poor dad and a rich dad. His poor dad was his real father. He was highly educated, he had multiple academic degrees, he worked very hard, and he was respected in society. But the rich dad was the father of his best friend, Mike. This man never even finished high school, but despite that, he owned businesses, stores, and multiple investments. Both men worked hard, both were smart, but their lives ended very differently. Both men believed education was important, but they meant two completely different kinds of education. The poor dad used to say, study hard so you can get a good job, but the rich dad said, study hard so you can buy a company. Just notice the big difference between their mindset. The poor dad often said, I can't afford this, but the rich dad would say, how can I afford this? Can you see the difference? The first sentence stops your brain from thinking, while the other sentence forces your brain to find solution. That is why his rich dad always said, don't be afraid of beginning broke, be afraid of having a poor mindset. One day, Robert asked his father, Dad, can you teach me how to become rich? His dad smiled and said something strange. If you want to become rich, you need to learn how to create money. But Robert misunderstood. He thought his father meant literally creating money. So he ran to his best friend Mike and he said, I found the idea. We are going to make money. The two boys went home and started looking everywhere for something they could use to make money. After a while, Robert found a box full of toothpaste tube. They cut the metal tubes and put them in a small container and started melting them with fire. While the boys were busy with their experiments, Robert's father saw the smoke and he asked, what are you doing? Robert said, we are making money. His father sat down with them and said, that is not what I meant. Then he added, but if you really want to learn how to become rich, I know someone who can teach you. He meant Mike's father. Next morning, Robert and Mike went to meet Mike's father. He was a very busy man. The boy sat in front of him and he said, you want to become rich? Robert said, yes. The man looked at them for a moment and said, all right, you will work for me. The boys started working at one of his small stores. Their job was simple, organizing products, cleaning shelves, helping customers, but the problem wasn't the work. The problem was the pay. Their salary was 10 cents per hour. And after a few weeks, Robert became angry because he was working very hard but earning almost nothing. One day he told Mike's father, I work hard, but you paid me almost nothing. The rich dad smiled and said something unexpected. Good. Robert was confused. Good? What do you mean? The rich dad replied, because now you are starting to learn the lesson. He said, most people in this world working their entire life because they are afraid. Robert asked, afraid of what? The rich dad answered, afraid of not having money. So they accept any job, work long hours, and depending on their salary. Then he said something very important. The problem is not work, the problem is people become slaves to their paycheck. And then he told Robert, if you want to become rich, you must learn one thing. Robert asked, what is it? The rich dad said, learn to make money work for you. The rich dad said, the poor and the middle class work for money, but the rich make money work for them. Because most people spend their lives asking, how can I get higher salary? But the rich ask a different question, how can I make money work for me? In the next video, we will discover one of the most important idea in the entire book, an idea that says it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep and how you make it work for you.